Joining me on the line now to tell me more about one of the sports that I've always found very exciting, and I think globally very exciting, is baseball. And to tell me more about baseball in the Western Cape is the president of baseball in the Western Cape, Kevin Inglis. Kevin, welcome to Sport Federation TV.
Thank you very much, JP, and a warm welcome to the viewers.
Kevin, it's the first time that I've managed to talk to you on TV. Just tell me a little bit more about baseball in South Africa before we actually talk about baseball in the Western Cape. How are we doing as a team?
Okay, I would say we are doing extremely well. And that goes back to 4 years ago when we had the qualifiers in Australia. And subsequent to that, it has put us in good stead in terms of our seeding for the World Cup baseball qualifiers now that was supposed to have happened but stopped because of the COVID-19. And that would have taken place now in Arizona, in America, Arizona, Tucson. So because of us doing extremely well there, we were seeded very well for this tournament, which gave us a very good chance of qualifying for the World Cup.
So there was a time that we went through in South Africa that people didn't know that South Africa played baseball. It's sounding to me like that's not the case anymore.
Absolutely not. And just referring back to what has happened to us now currently, we would have been sending 2 teams over this year, which would be an under-15 national team and an under-23 national team to a world tournament.
Yeah, in fact, you sent me a few pictures here. I'm going to show you a picture. First picture, tell me who's in this.
Okay, so that is the whole squad, and we lined up there. It was at a school training facility where they basically play their baseball, and that is the whole South African squad. This picture here is when we basically arrived there at the hotel.
Kevin, so let's just go back to, we've also got some youngsters here that seemed, how is baseball doing from an age perspective? What's the average age of the baseball players we've got?
I would say at this squad now, we average age would be around about 27.
27. And at what sort of age do the guys start playing baseball?
I think like with any other sport, it would put you in good stead if you should start around about the age of 6 to 8 years old. Especially in baseball, for the youngsters, we have a certain format of the game which is called T-ball baseball. So there's no live pitching for the batters, and it's more fun orientated. And you basically hit the ball off a tee, and everybody gets a chance to bat and to field.
I suppose one of the questions you must get all the time, and I'm going to ask it again, and I probably shouldn't ask it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is it a question of baseball is for men and softball is for women?
Yes, I'm at pains to basically say that. Not really. Baseball, they have got a women's league, and it's quite strong. And it's just a matter of preference, I would say, at this day and age.
So let's talk a little bit about baseball in the Western Cape. How are we doing from a Western Cape perspective? Are we competitive? Are we beating the other provinces?
JP, I say this with a lot of humility, but also with a fair sense of pride. Baseball in the Western Cape, like with many other sports, is relatively very strong. And with that humility, I would say that the Western Cape have one of the strongest baseball fraternities.
All right. So now that we've established Western Cape is the best province in the country, how does one get started in baseball? Where does one find a club? Are there clubs nearby? Because obviously you have to have unique facilities in your space.
Absolutely, and that has always been a challenge from yesteryear, but I think we've basically worked well around that in terms of establishing baseball fields in areas, and that is. So what would obviously happen, we have got school baseball leagues up and running, not where we would obviously like it to be, without saying, but there is school baseball. That basically, we are drawing from those school baseball players into the club baseball. But there's certain areas, obviously, that schools are not active, where we have strong clubs, in that area where we are drawing youngsters.
Yeah.
And obviously they start with the T-ball under 10s and so forth.
Is it an expensive sport, or is it easy accessible? How does one start? How do you get the ball rolling?
I think initially it is an expensive sport, and that is one of the challenges that has sort of kept the sport, in a sense, which you would call a proverbial minnow sport. And most of the cost is basically covered by clubs. And that is also basically a bit of a hindering factor, that you cannot move ahead with the sport in terms of development like you would have. But to answer your question, it is a bit of an expensive sport, and clubs do bear the brunt of that cost factor. And just to a solution to that is they starting off with this five-a-side baseball, which doesn't really need much equipment. So hopefully once the youngsters have gone through that phase and they are liking the sport and determined to want to be part and parcel of it, I think they would be prepared to invest.
Tell us a little bit about the online component of baseball. That seems quite interesting. It's a part that I never knew about.
Yes, so we, because of the elite athletes, it is important for them to at least not lose any fitness level. And then we've got through Major League and part and parcel of the South African contingent, he has basically developed a strategy that would keep them reasonably fit. In terms of cardiovascular and strength training, and that is.
Where's next for you guys? We apart from now COVID-19, we don't know what's coming next. But how does the baseball season work? Is it a winter sport, a summer sport? What's next?
Okay, so it has been disrupted because I think COVID-19 and the lockdown came on the 25th, around about there in March, and we would have had a end of a season national tournament.
Yeah.
So to answer that question is, it starts in October. It's a summer-coded sport. It starts in October and basically ends in March. And generally, when baseball season ends in March, we have a national tournament. So that was basically put on hold because of the COVID, and we're hoping, if all things goes well, that we would look at maybe December if the restrictions are lifted to a point that we can have mass participation and crowds.
Kevin, we're going to leave it at that. We're looking forward to talking to you again and maybe chatting to some of your top athletes, your captains and coaches of baseball. They can also cross to us live and we can get their pictures from them and find out what some of their athletes are doing. And like I said, we'll leave it at that, and we'll say to you guys, stay safe out there and stay isolated, and we'll keep following your progress.
Thank you very much, JP, for the opportunity to showcase baseball and to tell the viewers that it's a live and very active sport and high aspirations for many athletes to participate on a national scene. Yes, and look forward to chatting again with you.
Kevin Inglis, folks, President of Western Cape Baseball.